There are no wrong paths. There are none. There's no such thing as failure, really, because failure is just that thing trying to move you in another direction. So you get as much from your losses as you do from your victories, because the losses are there to wake you up. When you understand that, you don't allow yourself to be completely thrown by a grade or by a circumstance, because your life is bigger than any one experience. Don't let yourself get all thrown off, continue to be thrown off course. When you're feeling off course, that's the key. How do I turn around? The way through the challenge is to get still and ask yourself, what is the next right move? And then from that space, make the next right move and the next right move. And not to be overwhelmed by it, because you know your life is bigger than that one moment. You know you're not defined by what somebody says is a failure for you, because failure is just there to point you in a different direction.
Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of success. Welcome back to Motivation for Her, the channel dedicated to empowering, inspiring, and uplifting women from all walks of life. Today we're talking about something we all experience, but often dread: failure. Yes, failure. That word can feel heavy, right? But let me tell you something. Failure isn't the end of your journey. In fact, it's just the beginning of something incredible. In today's episode, we'll dive deep into how to embrace failure, accept setbacks, and transform them into opportunities for growth. So grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let's get real about failure. Let's start by redefining what failure actually is. Most of us grow up thinking failure is the end, a sign that we're not good enough or that we should give up. But here's the truth. Failure is feedback. Think of it as life's way of saying, hey, you're on the right path, but there's something you need to adjust. Take a moment and think about some of the most successful women in history: Sara Blakely, Oprah Winfrey, J.K. Rowling, or even Beyoncé. Do you know what they all have in common? They've all faced failure, rejection, and setbacks. But they didn't stop there. They used those moments to learn, to grow, and to come back stronger. Here's an example. Did you know Oprah was fired from her first television job because she was deemed unfit for TV? Can you imagine if she let that stop her? Instead, she embraced the setback and went on to become one of the most influential women in the world. Now, let's talk about why failure is actually necessary for growth. When you succeed, it's great. You feel confident and accomplished. But when you fail, that's when the real magic happens. Failure forces you to reflect. It makes you analyze what went wrong, what you could do differently, and how you can improve. It's like going to the gym. If you only lift light weights, you'll never get stronger. But when you challenge your muscles, when it hurts and feels difficult, that's when you build strength. Failure works the same way. It challenges you, stretches you, and ultimately makes you stronger. Remember, every time you fail, you're one step closer to success. Each setback is a lesson, and every lesson learned brings you closer to your goals. So how do you embrace failure and keep a positive mindset? Because let's be honest, when failure happens, it can feel overwhelming. So, how do we shift our perspective? Here are a few practical steps. Step 1. Acknowledge your feelings. It's okay to feel disappointed, frustrated, or even embarrassed. And guess what? That's okay. You're human, and it's natural to feel those things. Allow yourself to feel those emotions, but don't let them define you. Remember, it's just a moment, not a lifetime. Step 2. Reflect and learn. Instead of saying, I'm not good enough, or I'll never succeed, try saying, I'm learning what doesn't work, so I can find what does. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this experience? Whether it's a new strategy, a different perspective, or a personal insight, there's always a lesson hidden in failure. Step 3. Celebrate effort, not just results. Focus on what you tried, not just the outcome. Effort is progress, and every step counts. So what if the results didn't turn out the way you hoped? The effort you put in is still something to be proud of. You showed up, you tried, and that's a win. Step 4. Lean on your support system. Sometimes, when you're in the middle of a setback, it's hard to see the bigger picture. That's why it's so important to surround yourself with people who lift you up, friends, family, mentors, people who remind you of your potential and help you see the silver lining. And finally, step 5, find inspiration in others. Read stories or watch videos about people who've turned their failures into successes. Whether it's a woman who rebuilt her career after losing everything or an athlete who came back stronger after a devastating loss, these stories can remind you that failure is just part of the journey. Now, let's shift gears and talk about how to turn your setbacks into opportunities. This is where the real transformation happens. Step 1. Look for the lesson. Every failure has something to teach you, even if it's not obvious at first. Ask yourself, what did this experience reveal about my strengths, my weaknesses, or my approach? The lessons you learn will make you stronger and better prepared for the next challenge. Step 2. Stay adaptable. Sometimes failure happens because we're clinging to a plan that's no longer working. Be willing to pivot, to try something new, or to explore an entirely different path. Remember, some of the best opportunities come from unexpected detours. Step 3. Use failure as fuel. Turn your frustration into motivation. Let it push you to work harder, think smarter, and dream bigger. For example, maybe you didn't get that promotion you were hoping for. Instead of giving up, use that energy to build new skills, network with mentors, or start a side hustle. And finally, step 4. Practice gratitude. I know this might sound strange, but even in failure, there's always something to be grateful for. Maybe it's the courage you showed in trying, the people who supported you, or the resilience you're building. Gratitude shifts your focus from what you've lost to what you've gained, and that's a powerful mindset shift. And let's not forget, some of the world's most successful and influential people credit their failures as the turning points in their lives. Oprah, J.K. Rowling, and Sara Blakely all faced rejection and setbacks, but they used those moments to pivot, to grow, and to chase even bigger dreams. You see, setbacks aren't the end of the road, they're a chance to take a new direction. So, the next time you face a challenge, ask yourself, how can I turn this into an opportunity? What's the next step? Because trust me, your comeback story is waiting to be written. Let's bring this topic to life by looking at some real-world examples of incredible women who turned their failures into massive successes. These stories prove that failure isn't the end, it's often the beginning of something extraordinary. Sara Blakely, from failed salesperson to billionaire entrepreneur. Sara Blakely, the founder of Spanx, is one of the most inspiring examples of overcoming failure. Did you know she was once a failed salesperson? Before Spanx, Sara sold fax machines door to door for 7 years. She was rejected more times than she could count. But instead of letting those rejections defeat her, she used them to fuel her entrepreneurial spirit. After a frustrating experience with traditional shapewear, Sara decided to create something better. She invested her life savings of $5,000 to develop Spanx. Today, she's a billionaire and one of the most successful female entrepreneurs in the world, proving that failure can be the ultimate teacher. Story number 2. Oprah Winfrey fired from her first job. Can you imagine a world without Oprah Winfrey? Hard to believe, but she was once fired from her first job as a TV anchor in Baltimore because she was told she was too emotional and not right for television. But Oprah didn't let that define her. She took that setback and used it as motivation to work harder and refine her craft. Fast forward to today, Oprah is not only a media mogul but also a billionaire and one of the most influential women in the world. Her story reminds us that sometimes rejection is just redirection. Story number 3. J.K. Rowling, from rejection to global phenomenon. J.K. Rowling's journey is another incredible testament to perseverance. Before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon, Rowling was a struggling single mom living on welfare. She submitted her manuscript to 12 different publishers, and every single one rejected her. But instead of giving up, she kept pushing forward. Finally, a small publisher took a chance on her, and the rest is history. Today, she's one of the world's most successful authors, inspiring millions with her magical stories. Her journey is proof that persistence pays off. And let's talk about Beyoncé, learning from setbacks to build an empire. One of the most iconic women in the world. Did you know her path to superstardom wasn't always smooth? Before Destiny's Child became a household name, Beyoncé's first girl group, Girls' Time, failed to win on Star Search, one of the biggest talent shows of its time. Most people would have been crushed by that level of public failure, but not Beyoncé. She used that loss to work even harder. She and her father, who managed the group, rebranded and refined their sound. Eventually, Destiny's Child skyrocketed to fame, and Beyoncé went on to build a solo career. Today, she's not only a global superstar but also a business mogul, a philanthropist, and a cultural icon. Her story reminds us that failure doesn't define you, it prepares you for greatness. These women didn't let failure stop them. Instead, they used it as fuel to achieve greatness. Whether it was rejection, financial struggles, or societal obstacles, they turned their setbacks into stepping stones to success. Their stories are a powerful reminder that failure isn't something to fear, it's something to embrace. Because within every failure lies an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to rise stronger than ever. So the next time you face a challenge, think of these women. They didn't let their failures stop them, and so shouldn't you. Let their resilience inspire you to keep going, because who knows? Your comeback story could inspire the world someday too. Here's the takeaway, ladies. Failure doesn't define you, your response to it does. Embrace it, learn from it, and let it propel you forward. You are stronger, wiser, and more resilient than you think. So the next time you face a setback, I want you to remember this. Failure is just a chapter in your story, not the whole book. Keep writing, keep dreaming, and keep pushing forward. Thank you for tuning into Motivation for Her. This isn't just a channel, it's a community, a space where we uplift, inspire, and motivate each other to keep moving forward. If this message inspired you, don't forget to like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. And tell us in the comments, what's one lesson you've learned from failure? Hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications so you never miss a video.